talked to me, talked to Jimmy. Glad Jimmy came out. And you can hear around the room, now everyone's talking about, hey, what are you doing? Should you pay off the house? Should I pay off the house? It's going to work for me later. All these things to be considered. How much money will you need in retirement? Where are you putting your money? You younger guys that have 30 years to go, and you guys don't even know what a 457 is, but now you do. You'll continue to learn about that, and see the faces around the room. Some guys are a little more savvy. We've talked before. Talked to Tom's another savvy guy with finances. Zach I've been talking to for years, and this kind of spurred many years ago when I first started working with Zach at Station 2. Chris Alvarez, you named some names that guys are savvy with money and budgeting. We use an example of Israel. Israel's a Dave Ramsey fan. Israel, and we always joke about this, he's got 5 mouths to feed. He's got 5 kids. He's got 5 kids. He's got his budget to a T. He's got the spreadsheet. He knows where every single dollar, penny, everything goes. Okay, so retirement considerations, retirement planning. Never too late to start. We'll go through some quick slides. We'll talk through your benefits, things to consider. The benefits package that the city affords to you, ways to maximize your spending of money and how to cost effectively manage how you're spending that money. We want to spur some financial awareness, you can say maximize your benefits, and consider your future needs. It's something that always kind of gets missed. You're like, hey, I've got PERS, and you think, hey, that might be enough. And as you start doing the math and you start thinking about it, I want you guys to think about, hey, is your PERS going to be enough? Okay, think about it, look at your costs. Hey, will your house be paid off? Great question. Should I pay off my house? Is it going to work for you? What do you want to do with that house? And just consider the totality of where you will be by making these decisions today. So same thing, disclaimer, we're not financial advisors. We're not selling you anything. We do, the purpose is to create discussion amongst your family and peers. Be aware of the stuff that's out there. And we want to give you the options that are out there. We want to give you the options that we've used. Zach and I have had many discussions about what we've been doing because we believe you prepare today and then you can retire. You will be able to retire comfortably and do the things you want to do. You don't want to be strapped for cash when you're in retirement. That's the time you want to enjoy. You worked all these years, worked hard, right? Everyone puts in a minimum, how many hours a month we work? 56-hour work week, 240 hours a month minimum, blue-collar workers, right? But we have to be smart about our finances. And no one became a firefighter to become rich. Like, there's no outright rich, independently wealthy, firemen that are just born into it. Everyone's a blue-collar worker. We work for our cash, and we got to be smart about how we manage it. We always have advocate seeking professional advice, person's financial planning, tax preparation, and legal advice. Okay. And just like we're talking, everyone has different financial priorities and needs. You kind of have to assess where you're at. You have to look at your picture. Hey, what do I need right now? Zach's going through times like, hey, he's valuing his kids' education, right? Pay for private school, add some outgoing money, and then curb that cost. And now he's valuing his wife's education because now in the future she's going to be an additional breadwinner for the family. So he's investing time and money into that, so that in turn is an investment. Planning ahead can make financial stability and success attainable. Okay, time is of the essence. If you have time, as far as time and compounding interest, that's what we're talking about. Who's been on the ICMA website? Who's actually searched it out? A couple of guys. Nationwide website. Who's been on the Nationwide website? Who can actually log on to their account online and look at your numbers and look at your account? Okay. Paper statements come in the mail. They come quarterly. Set up a login so you can look at your cash. It's your money, right? And the question to you guys is PERS enough? Just want to leave that in the back of your head. Think about it. That's the big question. It's a great retirement fund. It's going to be fully funded, they say, in the next 2 decades, 25 years. The actuary was telling us when we went to the meetings at the Sawyer building. But after the calculation, after you do your career, is it going to be enough for you? And that's something that everyone's going to have to answer for themselves. Where are you financially today? Where do you want to be tomorrow? Where will you be 10, 20, 30 years? Younger guys that are coming into your careers, it goes in the blink of an eye. I don't know how many guys have been here more than 10 years? See a whole bunch. 20 years. You guys look around. A couple 20-year guys. You guys are getting, raising his hand right there. You guys are going to be 30-year career guys based on your contract at first to maximize your benefit. You guys are going to have to do that, right? And the question is, how do you generate more retirement income? Zach's discussed them. We'll go over them briefly again, just a reminder. And the thing is, how much income do you need? Something to look at. Hey, will your house be paid off? Will it not be paid off? Hey, do I have kids in college? Am I going to help them through college? Am I going to have additional expenses? As you get older, parents get older, you're going to help out your parents. You know, their financial responsibility, you know, to take care of your family. You might have some dependents as far as you had your kids, and maybe now you've got a dependent now as an older parents to be taken care of. And then how much do you need and how much do you want, right? You think of it, hey, I'm going to retire at, we did the calculation, potentially retire at 75% of your pre-retirement income. Do you want to live at that in retirement, or do you want to retire at 80% of your current income? Do you want to retire at 90% of your current income? Do you want to retire at 100% of your current income? Or do you want to be a baller and retire at 120% of your current income, right? Having that flexibility and having that ability is important. Consider how much you've allocated today. How much have you set aside? And you want to consider that to grow your retirement nest egg so you can generate income and let that money work for you. Compound interest, do the math. And I know, how many of you guys have looked at a compound interest calculator? You guys know how to do that? And some of the guys that have been around a while, yes. Go to the Deferred Comp website, go to the ICMO website, go to the, I don't know if Nevada First has one, but even your bank, your regular bank, Bank of America, Clark County Credit Union, there's interest calculators on there, and do the math, see how long it'll take at 6%. Play with the numbers. Hey, I'm going to put away $1,000, and I'm going to do it for the next 30 years. I'm going to get 5% interest. I'm going to get 6% interest. I'm going to get 8, and or I'm going to get 3, or the market's bad. I'm going to get 4.5, and play with that and see. Hey, it's going to take me 30 years to get the result. It might take me 20 years to get the result. And then diversification of assets. All of the tools, the 457, the IRAs, the Roths, the savings accounts, the real estate. There's all your diversification that we've talked about today. And we'll press on. My big advice to you guys is do the research. Like Zach was saying, I challenge you to either try to refute anything we're saying or get some more information. Hey, it doesn't kind of sound right, but read about it. Find it on the internet, find it in a book. Go to a CPA, go to your tax person. Some of the good websites that I like are the Deferred Comp websites, the NevadaPERS.org. ICMA has a bunch of planning calculators on there. Frontlineplan.com is the nationwide website, and my favorite one, catch-all, is that one on the bottom there, irs.gov. For me, that's the horse's mouth. There's a ton of information on irs.gov. They're controlling the tax structure. They control how much you're able to flex spend a year. They set those guidelines. They enforce them. All of the tax codes, all the tax brackets, how much you can put away in your deferred comp, how much you can put away in your IRAs. Can you have a 457 and a 401k? Does anybody know? Yes. Absolutely. And so when I say do the research, and just like we're saying, this is for us. We're not advocating any, financial planners can be salespeople. You'll talk to them and they'll try to either sell you an insurance plan or want to transition an account. I can tell you that I've been given wrong information over the course of the last decade, and I didn't take it to heart. Someone told me, hey, you can't do that. That's not right. I wouldn't do that if I were you. And this came from, and I won't say who, It came from a representative from a deferred comp place and said, hey, I wouldn't do that. You might get in trouble with the IRS. Guess where I went? IRS.gov. Started doing research, found the documents from the IRS, said, yeah, you can have a 457. You can have an initial 401k. You can roll them together, you know, at a later time. You can put your old 401k in your 457 account. All that stuff, IRS.gov, horse's mouth. Let's see here. Things that are forgotten. You do the math, you're like, hey, consider inflation. You know, $100 a day may only be worth $90 in 10 years, or maybe $80 in the next 10 years. We always forget to add in inflation for your cost. There's a retirement calculator on the Nationwide 457, one where you can click a box and they'll go, hey, today's dollars, and then it'll flip it and it'll go your future dollars into retirement. So it'll give you conversion for inflation in there. Consider your tax liabilities pre and post retirement. Like we were talking about, hey, should I pay off the house? Should I not pay off the house? Obviously there is the tax deduction, but if you're close to paying off your house, the tax break may not be equitable for you, right? Unless you continue working retirement and you're making more in retirement, you might need another tax shelter. You might need another piece of real estate. Or any other deductions to try to minimize your tax liability. Consider those things. Your accountants, your CPAs can help you with that stuff. And then Social Security. Do we get it?
Reduced.
Right. Some of us, right? If you worked before you started this job and you contributed to Social Security, you get a little statement in the mail like once a year. It comes in a little green letter. It's tri-folded. And what does it say? Who's read that letter? What does the letter say?
It's reduced.
Reduced, and what else does it say? The best part of that letter is funds may not be available to you. It says it in there. It says it in there. When I do my retirement calculations, I do not add Social Security in there. I've paid into Social Security. I worked private sector before. Continue to work private sector part time. I don't add that to there. I personally don't believe it's going to be there for us. But if it is available to you and you do get it, right there at the bottom, reduced benefit. Because you're a public employee, you're PERS, you have a government pension. There's a stipulation in Social Security, to pull up Social Security Administration, go to government pensions. It'll tell you in there, you and your spouses, both reduce benefits because you have access to a government subsidized pension. Even if you paid into the system. Maximize your benefits, utilize the tools given to you. As firefighters, we know never put down your tools. Pick up your financial tools and don't put them down. Especially for you young guys, right? We'll review some of this. 457 deferred comp, 18,000 pre-tax deduction, reduce your taxable income. Catch up over 50, additional 60,000, but 24,000 a year after age 50. Special catch-up, and I just want to reiterate on the special catch-up. In the last 3 years prior to retirement, if you've never been maxed out. So there's a stipulation there. If you haven't, if right now, if you guys have been contributing the whole time in your career, 18,000, and then it bumps up to 19, and you contribute 19, and you've been maxed the entire time, supposedly per the IRS and per the information that I've seen, you can't do the entire amount on that. I don't know how they audit that or make sure that you haven't contributed the entire amount. But if you've never been maxed out your entire career during all of it, you should be able to do special catch-up 36,000 per year in the last 3 years of your career. So it might be age 40, 47, 48, 49 if you're retiring at 50, or 48, 49, 50, whatever normal retirement is. The definition says normal retirement, so for us it would be 50. So potentially, if you're going to go at 50, you can do the last 3 years, you can do 36,000. And a lot of us see that have been around, and you young guys don't know this, but guys will wait. You know, they'll hit their 20th year, they'll hit their 25th year, but they'll wait till January to retire, right? You guys know why? They wait till January to retire, right? So we get sick cash out. We get vacation cash out, right? You guys know how many hours you can max? 720 hours in vacation you can save up in bank. 1260 and sick. Total together, the city cuts you a check. So do the math. At your topped out salary, How big a check is that? It's a pretty sizable check. So guys will wait till the next year so that they don't get all that shoved on their previous year in taxes. My intent is to take that cash out and that last year put $36,000 before you know what I mean. Before I leave, that's my plan. Into addition to my deferred comp, flex benefits, and these are the three tools that I've been using, pretty passionate about. FlexSpend, dependent care, RHS, but FlexSpend, guys are always. You guys know what FlexSpend is? You guys use it? How many in here use FlexSpend? There's a handful of FlexSpenders. So FlexSpend, it used to be 10 grand. We used to be able to put aside 10 grand at one point in time before we got Obamacare and Affordable Health Care Act, and it kind of drove that managed care, and they've been pushing that down, and now we can only do $2,500 a year. You can reduce your taxable income by $2,500 a year. You can spend it on health care items that are approved by the IRS. IRS.gov has got the list. That list is also found on the city. So say you wanted LASIK to get done, right? Get your eyes fixed, eyes corrected. Might cost $3,000. You can take $2,500, pre-tax, we'll take it out of your check pre-tax, and use that money for that procedure. There's other things that FlexSpend will pay for, co-pays, prescription meds, other procedures that insurance won't cover entirely, chiropractic care. There's a whole list. Go to our CityNet, go to our benefits, go to FlexSpend. There's a whole item on the side there. You click on that box and it'll tell you FlexSpendable items. You can reduce your taxable income, but most guys are scared to use it because use it or lose it, right? Hey, I'm going to put $2,500 a year in the FlexSpend, and I don't know if I'm going to use it or lose it, right? I don't want to lose it. And I'll tell you how to never waste it, okay? Say you FlexSpend $2,500, right? You got your copays, you know that your family's got about $1,500 a year in medical expenses, doctor's visits, pediatrician, regular visits. You've got prescriptions to cover. You might have surgery coming. There's going to be expenses that year. And you're like, oh, $1,000, right? Come towards the end of the year, October, November, you submit your claim forms. What happens is you spend that money on those prescriptions, all those healthcare items, and you submit a claim for the city. After they take it out of your check, you send them a claim form and they send you that money back. They can send you back up to the $2,500 a year that you've taken out of your checks pre-tax to spend for that. At the end of the year, you're like, oh, am I going to lose that money? And no one wants to be out $1,000, right? Put it out, it feels horrible, and I'll tell you how to spend it, okay? What else? Does anybody know what else you can FlexSpend it on?
Glasses.
Prescription glasses.
Dentist, orthodontist.
Dentist, orthodontist. Over-the-counter meds. Okay? With a prescription from your provider. Over-the-counter meds for your kids. Tylenol, Motrin, Children's Zyrtec, all those things that are over-the-counter. First aid kit. Even if it's a Wazoo Badass first aid kit that's pre-built, $300. Prescription from your doctor, first aid kit, FlexSpendable item. Here's the good one. And I'll tell you this. Go get a prescription from your doctor. And that's for the spouses. The spouses in here, because this is a fan. They'll be a fan of this. You got $1,000 left in there, health and wellness, right? If you can get your doctor if you have a medical condition that requires a gym membership, you can get your doctor to write you for a prescription for your gym membership. You can get your gym membership paid for if you have a specific medical condition that requires you to exercise. Here's an even better one. Go get a prescription from your primary care provider that says massage therapy. Massage therapy, 2 times a month, 12 refills. And all of these things you can do the over-the-counter as directed, 12 refills. Okay? And what does a massage cost nowadays?
$100,
$100 or whatever, $100, right?
$125.
Can you write those scripts, Rich?
Yeah, we can work something out. But so right, so at the end of the year, when you know you're coming in that last quarter and you've got money in there that's allocated and you think you're going to lose it, I guarantee you can spend it. And if you're having a problem spending it, call me and we'll look at the items on there. You can make it work. You can get rid of that money pretty darn fast. If you think you're going to lose it, you can spend it on things for health and wellness. Okay. Dependent care, daycare, babysitting costs. And this is a big one for me with kids with young. Who's got young kids in here? Like under preschool kids. Okay. So you guys, I mean, start families yet, but when you do, Suscarelli's got a little one. We've talked about this. Daycare, babysitting costs, $5,000 annual pre-tax deduction. You can reduce your taxable income by another $5,000. So between $457,000, which is $18,000, between another $2,500 for FlexPen and another $5,000, you can reduce your taxable income by $20,000+, right? You keep that money in your pocket, right? Reduce taxable income, use it or lose it, right? Okay, here's a good one. How not to waste it, okay? Do you want to use it for daycare if you have kids? You just want to put your kid in daycare? I'd rather put my kid in private school. I'd rather put my kid in preschool. Anything before the age of kindergarten. Nursery school, you can use this for nursery school. Lakeland Christian Academy, Maryhill, Challenger, that counts as dependent care. So for all you young parents out there, if you don't want to just send your kid to babysitting, and you want to get them educated, now the stipulation on this is that your spouse has to either be working part-time, working part-time, or looking for a job. I don't know how they enforce that, but there's some fine print in there that says for you to deduct $5,000 annually for dependent care and babysitting, that your spouse needs to be either working part-time, working, or looking for a job. And then, even better, with dependent care is camps, summer camps. So if you know your kid's going to be in camp next summer, and you know that camp's going to, and they're going to be in camp for 3 months, and it's going to cost you $600, $700, $800, whatever that costs. That counts. Go to the flex spendable items on the website. Go to irs.gov. They'll have a whole list of them, and it says on there camps. The big thing with this is when you submit the claim form. There's a claim form you have to download right on there. You have to submit the receipts. You go with your flex spendable items, with your dependent care items, babysitting items, all that stuff. They need a TIN, which is a tax identification number of the business. They will not send you the money back after you deducted it. They will not send it back, Loomis or the city, whoever's managing that account. When you submit that claim form for that money back, they will not send it back to you. I know some people said, well, I sent the receipt in, but they denied it. They'll deny it because there's no tax identification number for that business. For it to work, for you to get that money back, you need the tax identification number. So that's kind of a good.
Rich, just want to cover when to sign up for those funds, like what time of year.
Okay,
look out
so
for that, and then-
open enrollment November is constantly in November. You kind of it's hard to, you have to forecast your cost for next year using the flex benefits. So say you're having a procedure done in January, you know you're going to have a lot of costs in January. The city will take it out of your check all year, but you can still get that procedure done in January. They'll flex all that money out to you to get that medical procedure done. Versus the dependent care, that money actually has to be saved up. They'll take it out of your checks every 2 weeks, but you won't be able to, you know, if you paid up that tuition in January and they give you a bill for $5,000, you can't get that $5,000 back in January. It has to be built up into the account. So that's the big difference between the dependent care and the flex spend. Dependent care has to actually be built up in the system before you submit the claim. So what I would do is I would wait till either I would do quarterly or I would do midway through the year, or I would just wait to the end of the year and submit the claim, and then they reimburse me my pre-tax money. Flex spend, I usually do it quarterly. I send my receipts. for all of our medical expenses, and then I'll submit to Loomis my receipts, and I'll do it on a quarterly basis. That way I'm not inundated with receipts at the end of the year. So 2 tools to save a little bit of cash, to use your money a little bit smartly for dependent care and flex benefits there. RHS plan, you guys know what this is? I know the more senior guys know what RHS is. So out of your checks, the city contributes, it's a retirement health savings account, $36.50 is what it is now? You guys confirm? $36.50.
Sounds right.
$37, $36.50 a check contributed to the city. I wish this was more. Jim, you can talk about this, using this in a little bit once he starts. It's contributed by the city, it goes into account, it goes into your ICMA, and then there's this magic number that it just gets saved up over time. Just like your deferred comp money, it'll default to a target date fund. And a target date fund is based on your age, it's kind of a generic fund. It's got so much stock in it, so much bonds, different annuities, but it defaults to target date fund based on your start of work or when you're supposed to retire. But people forget about this, because if you have 30 years, you may not want it invested in a more conservative way. You might have time to invest it more aggressively. So consider, use a financial planner, manage that RHS fund, because you've got 30 years or your whole career to manage that. You can change that election. It doesn't have to be in that target date fund. You can change it to stock, you can change it to a more aggressive account, you can change it to something that matches S&P 500, or you can change that election, hopefully to grow it a little bit more over the time of your career. Guys kind of forget about that. Be aware that that's something that you can do. If you have time, you guys, the younger guys, talk to a financial planner, see if the target date fund is okay with that. But that money will grow in there. I don't know. Jimmy will talk more about how we use that. But that you'll be able to pay for co-pays, doctors, healthcare. There are expenses that account. It's an additional tool that you'll be able to use in retirement that the city's afforded you as a benefit. Wills and trusts. Anybody who's got family, anybody who's owns property, who's got assets, should definitely consider setting up a will and trust. Everybody in here has got a will or a trust, family trust. No? Yes? Homeowners, family trusts?
Yep.
Kids, family trust? Right? So who doesn't have a family trust? No family trust, no family trust, no family trust, no family trust. No family trust?
Nope. And I'm up here speaking.
So, a trust is a document. You look at it like it's a separate entity. It's designed to pass on assets. From you to, you can use it to pass on assets from you to beneficiaries. Family after you pass away, or your spouse. You can set up a will too. There's a difference between trust and wills. You guys can do the research on that, but I prefer the trust. With a will, trust, it avoids probate court. Does anybody know what probate court is? So, a couple guys. We'll add Tom to the next presentation. You can help us teach next time. After someone passes away, they have a will. You guys can go on this, and this is go on Clark County court website and go to probate court and dig in there what it takes or what documents need to be filed for you to secure something if one of your family had passed and left you the will. It is a lot of paperwork, it costs money, and it costs time. A trust can alleviate you from probate court and make the transition of your assets to your beneficiaries a lot smoother. I have a family trust, and we put the house in it, and then you can take your deferred comp, you can make that, you can add that to your family trust, you can add your assets to the family trust, and then you designate trustees who, in your passing, become the executor of the trust, and then it's just a smooth process to get
your property scooted over to the people that you want it to go to. It avoids probate court, additional costs and delays in probate court, smoother transition of your estate and finances to your beneficiaries. You'll see something that says living revocable trust, and that's all it is. It's created when you're living. When you're alive, you can change it, meaning it's revocable. That's all that means. And then, finances, you can set up your guardians. In case something happens to you, you auger in. You and your wife auger in. You need to know who your daughter wants to go to. You want to go to. You can set up your guardians. You can set up your advanced directives in your trust. We like, and we put Cassidy on there. We put Cassidy as a go-to guy. He's been great with us. He's great with the setup of that. Consider it something for asset protection. Here's the other thing. We're not selling you on life insurance, but something to consider if you do have big assets. Term, usually cheaper. Usually when you're younger, healthier, you get some pretty darn good big policies for when you're younger and healthier. Might be cost effective for the younger populations, and then if you do whole life insurance, usually there's some associated investment options for you when you're managing when you have a whole life insurance account, and then usually there's a saving cash value established when you set up a whole life insurance account. If you do have life insurance, again, you can assign that to the trust, and then if you do pass, there's a smoother transition of that asset to the beneficiaries. College saving plans. We'll talk about this. Everyone's different time in their career, different time in their lives. I'm going to talk about 2 college saving plans. Fund your retirement first, right? I mean, that's the big rule. But if you decide to fund your kid's college account or help them, because we know that, how many of you got kids in college in here? Right? You still helping them?
Yep.
Yeah. You guys are close. You're still helping them, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, right. So the cost of education is going up exponentially. Cost of education is exponentially worse than inflation. They're saying a 4-year degree in the next 15 years could be like $200,000 or something like that. So it's crazy. 529 plans, so just give you a couple benefits of 529. The city's got one you can access. Whoever investment company, usually they have a separate 529 that you can set up for your child. Benefits are gross tax-free when they use it for school. It's not taxed under withdrawal for educational purposes. It may or may not have any tax-deductible benefits depending on the state you live in. I don't believe that it has a deductible benefit here in Nevada. Here's the best one. The donor maintains full control of the funds. I'm talking about if you know any other accounts, any college saving accounts where when the kid turns 18, there's some accounts where the child becomes college age, they become the driving factor in the account.
And ESA.
And ESA, yes.
It's an educational savings account.
Yeah.
And the difference are 529s are unlimited how much money you put in there. So if you got a rich relative that dies and they want to leave a college education, your kid moves right in there without a problem. And ESA is limited to $2,000 a year, and it's like a Roth IRA as far as tax benefits go. 529 plan, you set it up for Sally. Sally decides to go to the military. You can move it right over to Johnny.
Absolutely.
Johnny gets a full ride scholarship. You and the wife want to say, you know what, screw it, I want to learn how to fly a plane, and she wants to take scuba diving lessons. As long as it's used for education, that's how it's handed down.
Absolutely. So you can hand it down for educational use. It can maintain tax-free, but as a caveat to your retirement savings, if your kid does get a scholarship, if they do get other financial aid, if they do something else, you can still use that money for you. But there's a penalty and it's going to be taxed. So there's a little flexibility with setting up a 529 plan. There's some other ways you can fund college, but we'll talk about these 2 ways. 529
plans are by state. The state of Nevada is in the top 3 plans in the United States. Just because you have a state of Nevada plan doesn't mean your kid must go to college here. They can go anywhere they want.
Yeah, so they can go. So say there's an accredited university in California. UNLV at the time is charging 400 credit hour. The University in California is charging 600 credit an hour. They'll reimburse you to the 400, and you got to make up the difference of the $200 per credit hour.
The other way is prepaid college, but that is after college, you set it up, that they can't go anywhere else.
And then the one rule about 529 is start as early as you can when your child is still a baby, because it's gonna amortize over 20. You want like 20 years for that thing to grow in there. Give it that time to grow. As soon as they get their social security number, set that account up and get that going. Next one is Nevada prepaid tuition. Pay for college at today's rate. You kind of lock it in. Nevada's prepaid tuition. They'll give you an interest rate, I think, like 6%, which is pretty darn good to do future finance of your child's education. It is transferable to family, usually a sibling, and I believe they might have extended it to first cousin. You can buy community college years. You can buy your community college. You can buy your university level. You can buy 2 years of community college. You can buy 2 years of UNLV, university level. You can buy 4 years of university. I mean, there's the ability to move that around and pay for parts of college are there with Nevada prepaid. And right there, you can still use it. You can use it out of state accredited schools. They did change that. At one point in time, there was a restriction. But like I said, they'll reimburse it at in-state Nevada college, and you have to make up the difference.
Does that change the scholarship opportunities for that individual? I mean, you have to put her in FAFSA when you have
That's a
something
good
like
question.
that.
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure about that 529 or the Nevada prepaid. But with the Nevada prepaid, these are two plans that I'm doing for my kid. We started the 529, which was a little bit in there, and actually the little amount that we've contributed, she's 9 now, it grew. Like, it's a decent sizable amount. By the time she's 20, it'll be hopefully good enough to eat up a lot of her undergrad if she decides to go get her undergrad. The Nevada prepaid, we looked at this, and the interest rate or the amortization or the growth that we're getting on our 529 plan, it's not matching. Like, I can't get my 529, even though how aggressively we invest this thing or change the election, I can't get it to match how fast college is grow, or the cost of college. So we elected to cut back on the 529 because the nest egg's kind of growing a little bit, and then we signed up for Nevada prepaid. So 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, we signed her up. She was 7 at the time, so the sooner you buy it, the cheaper it is. We purchased her a 4-year degree in state for $22,000 at 6% interest. So it seemed like a pretty good deal, you know. And let's see, and that's it. Conclusion for me: maximize your benefits, save retirement consistently and early. It's never too late to start and become more informed. So, thanks for your time. Thank you. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Bill. That was awesome.